Executives from most of the companies engaged in the war on cancer are in Atlanta, Georgia today, talking about their latest drug test results at the annual meeting of the American Society of Clinical Oncology, or ASCO. Novartis is there, makes a key drug for the treatment of leukemia, and Mike Huckman is standing by with the company's CEO for oncology. Mike?
Hi, Bill. And Novartis is giving patients and investors today a little bit of an upside surprise, announcing here at ASCO that it is going to file for FDA approval of a new leukemia drug sooner than expected. They're going to do it this year instead of next year. And they also announced that the FDA has put this drug on what is called fast track status, which means that it could potentially be approved quicker than normal. So joining me live now to talk more about that and what else is in Novartis's oncology drug pipeline is the head of oncology at Novartis, David Epstein. Thanks for being here, Mr. Epstein.
Hi, Mike.
So are you speeding up development of this new leukemia drug because of this new threat from Bristol Myers Squibb Sprycel, which got a positive FDA advisory committee recommendation Friday, had positive test results revealed over the weekend?
I think, as you know, Gleevec is a phenomenal drug, and at this meeting we showed that after 200,000 patient years of experience, we have a 90% overall survival rate at 5 years. Our next generation therapy, Tasigna, has the promise of being even more selective for the main defect in CML.
But have you sped up your timeline because Bristol Myers Squibb announced such robust results and that they could win approval of this new drug for patients who have failed to respond to Gleevec as early as this month?
Well, I think the speed up is due to the interim phase 2 data that we showed at this meeting, where we have very nice efficacy with Tasigna, and we see a tolerability profile that's very easy to manage in contrast to the other therapy.
And we should mention that Gleevec, by the way, is your second biggest selling drug. It is more than a $2 billion revenue producer for Novartis.
That's true, and it's growing very nicely.
In addition, you showed what's called mid-stage or phase 2 clinical trial data here on a kidney cancer drug. Why are you pursuing that when this space is becoming so ultra competitive? You've got drugs now from Pfizer, from Bayer and Onyx, and now it looks like Wyeth could have a potential blockbuster as well.
Right. This drug is a mTOR inhibitor, similar to the Wyeth drug, but it's oral. We've seen very nice response rates, and we think an oral drug like RAD001 could be a very nice complement to either the Pfizer or the Bayer products.
And you also unveiled mid-stage or phase 2 data on a new drug for what you called a gut cancer, and this would be kind of a successor drug to an $850 million drug that you sell today.
That's true. We sell a drug called Sandostatin LAR today to treat carcinoid syndrome, which is a tumor of the gut. It's also used to treat acromegaly, which is a growth disorder. We think SOM, which has a different profile and appears now to work in people that fail Sandostatin LAR, will provide benefit to those patients.
Mr. Epstein, 1 year of Gleevec apparently costs about $40,000 to $45,000. In the face of this new competition that we've talked about and your own new drug potentially coming to market and the political and the public pressure on pricing, will you have to cut the price?
Well, the reality is that the 400 milligram dose of Gleevec actually costs closer to $30,000. It's only when you get to much higher doses do we approach the numbers that you suggested. Relative to the benefit it brings, the health economic benefit in displacing other therapies, we think it's priced quite reasonably. We do recognize, however, that in the field of cancer therapies, prices have to be reasonable, and price should be associated with the benefit the product brings.
Mr. Epstein, this is Bill Griffith. I'm curious. I'm listening to you and Mike talk about the different cancers that you're targeting with these treatments, and I'm certainly hopeful, as we all are, that you're making good headways in finding cures for cancer, but I'm wondering what the underlying common denominator is in all of these treatments. Are you finding similarities enough? Is it from genetics, or what is it that you're finding that's helping you to develop all of these treatments right now? Mr. Epstein?
Did you hear his question?
No, I didn't hear anything.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, Bill. Apparently he cannot hear you. So he was essentially asking, what are you finding in your laboratory and your clinical research that is identifying all these targets for you to go after?
Well, we've learned with Gleevec how to develop more and more selective tyrosine kinase inhibitors, and we think the next generation of therapies will be drugs like Tasigna that are very specific for the molecular defect. That way you get the efficacy, and you should not have the side effects that are associated with the inhibitors that are very broadly targeted.
David Epstein, the head of Novartis Oncology, thanks again for joining us live here on CNBC.
My pleasure.
And coming up on the second